It's Emil Guillermo. We're live. We're live. It's the dimpled Filipino in front of the dimpled gong. They're on the nose. See, it's a dimpled nose. And this is a Filipino gong, and it's from Maguindanao because it's got that bump. If it were from Lawag, it would be flat. Of course, the Ilocanos are flat. The Maguindanao gongs are got that. This is it's a it's a nose. It's not. Don't confuse her for any other body part, please. Hey, welcome to our program, Emil Guillermo's Takeout, our takes on all things considerable. Yeah, I mean, we talk about just about everything. The micro talk, I call it the micro talk show because it is micro. It's smaller than the average talk show. This is the talk show of the AAPI and the AAXs because why not? We need one. We need one where we talk about our feelings, our concerns, what we care about. And if you're none of those, AAPI, AAX, if the X fill in the ethnicity, you're an ALL. I mean, because it's all relevant. We're part of just one big gondola, right? So you can read my columns on the ALDEF blog, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. That's at aldef.org/blog. Also, I do all these podcasts. The latest Emil Guillermo's Takeout the podcast. This is Emil Guillermo's Takeout the live stream because it's live. I'm talking to you right now. Right now. I mean, we're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific live, but hey, it's only 150, Emil. You must be very generous today. Giving us that little something extra. Yeah, it's the lanyap. It's the lanyap. So, but anyway, 2 p.m. Pacific. I do the PETA podcast. If you're interested in vivisection, anti-vivisection, you'd be interested in vivisection, not to do it, but to stop it. The Washington Post did a big piece on the Invigo dog breeding facility in Virginia. And it's just horrific what happens to the dogs there. The USDA has cited them. And if you want to know why they're breeding these dogs, it's because there's a multi-billion-dollar testing vivisection industry out there that requires dogs, and they shouldn't. So check out the PETA podcast after you listen to our live stream of Emil Guillermo's Takeout. Hey, today we're going to talk about Christian Hall. If you don't know who Christian Hall is, I'm going to tell you there's a vigil for him nationwide tomorrow, and it really is the kind of all-encompassing Asian American event that you can get behind. And I don't know, I don't go out of my closet, but I'll be vigiling for Christian Hall tomorrow. I'll talk about him. I'll talk about Valentina or Alana Peralta, the 14-year-old. You may have seen that video. I was only reading the news stories yesterday. I finally saw the videos, or all of the video. I saw some of the highlights. I saw all of the video. I'll give you my reaction there. More about the Ortula forgiveness matter, and we'll talk about testing. But I have to talk about John Madden. I just have to start talking about John Madden because he is, we're concerned about death and dying, the end of the year. Awemicron is exploding. People aren't getting as sick, but people are still dying. Not sure what Madden died of, what his condition was, if it was related to Omicron, but he passed away yesterday. The news came out, and I've been thinking about John Madden because, I think I started watching football when my teams were terrible, when my Raiders got terrible, when the 49ers got terrible again. I think I realized I was watching football or became a football fan again because of John Madden. And of course, I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up first a 49er fan because I was in the city. You know, you can get free tickets off the Christopher milk cartons. You know, what you do is you just, you dump the milk because, Christopher milk, that was like, it wasn't the best milk. I didn't even know if it was real cows. It tasted like water. Anyway, you dump the milk and then you cut the coupon on the carton, and then you go to the games. I saw so many losing 49er games for free because of Christopher milk. But they were losers. They had a great quarterback, John Brody, but the 49ers weren't any good. So I had to switch to the Raiders, and the Raiders were coming along. They had this guy named Daryl LaMonica, who was the quarterback, and then they had John Madden as the coach, and LaMonica, right, gave way to Ken Stabler, and Stabler, along with the cast of characters on the Raiders, led by Madden, that made me a football fan. Madden was great as a coach. He won a couple Super Bowls, and then he bagged it. I think he just won one. Or he went to the Super Bowl, won one. I think the one in Philadelphia was Flores. Flores was the coach. But Madden went to the broadcast booth, and that's where you got to know a little more about John Madden. And then if you lived in the Bay Area, he did a little thing on the morning radio. He was a character. Now, here's one reason why Filipinos should love John Madden. He was born in Daly City. Born in Daly City. And here's the other thing. He was dumb like a fox. I mean, he wasn't very dumb at all. He was really smart. But he was dumb like a fox. Meaning he knew that his appeal was as this big, large guy. You would make assumptions, and then he'd get you. He'd surprise you. He'd say, you thought I was just some white, dumb, fat, No. You might have thought that once when you saw him, but when you saw how he lived his life, and there was this sense of excellence in what he did. Great football coach, he was a winner. Great broadcaster, he was a winner. Everything he did. You don't do that without being really super smart. John Madden. I remember one of his interviews, he talked about what happens when he'd say two things that you remember. One, he said, winning was a great deodorant, or winning was a great deodorizer. So when something was bad and you stunk up the place, the way you got rid of that smell, you just won. So that was one phrase, winning, the great deodorant. I could use some in my closet right now, in fact. A little winning, please. The other thing he said was FIMO. When you're doing something and it's bothering you, or something is afflicting you and you're trying again, or something is, like I said, an issue is bothering you and you don't know how to deal with it, he would say FIMO, which is F it, move on. F it, move on. Don't keep pouring resources into that problem. If you can, FIMO it, move on. Keep going. I'll never forget that little phrase. FIMO. It could be forget it, move on, but F it, move on. The more demonstrative way tends to motivate, and it's real. Something happened, a recurring problem. You pour more resources, you pour more brain power. It's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. FIMO, move on. He didn't dwell. He did not dwell. So those are two things I remember just from listening to Madden throughout the years. Listening, like I said, I think I was watching the football games when it was his game. He was calling with Pat Summerall or whoever he was with. I think it was mostly with Summerall. And that was the reason why I was watching, because of Madden. Now, I didn't get to meet Madden as a full-blown Bay Area personality like I was at one point in my life. But I did meet Madden before I got back to the Bay Area. I happened to be working at an NBC affiliate in Dallas. And their office at the time, 1980, was at Union Station. And if you know anything about Madden, you know that Madden didn't fly. Madden later had his own bus, but Madden also took trains. He was at the train station. And I walked through the train station, heading to the bureau, which was at the corner, had a corner office at the train station. This nice big building, Union Station in Dallas. Nice view of the grassy knoll. Nice view of the Texas Book Depository building. I mean, you know, my early years in TV, I just had the complete JFK assassination tour right there within blocks of me. But there was John Madden sitting at a table. I forget if he was alone or if he was with, he might have been with Al Michaels. I'm not sure. I just remember Madden. I said, "Hey, John." And I was with my cameraman. And we didn't roll on it. But we just sat down, talked with Madden. Just a good guy. You know, and he was always interested in you. "Oh, yeah, I'm from the Bay Area. I'm here in Dallas. How's it going, John?" He just was personable, felt like you knew him. I wish I was in that group of people who could have been invited to his house in Pleasanton. I live near Pleasanton. Go by Pleasanton. Every time I'm in Pleasanton, in downtown Pleasanton, there by the, I think the family still owns that hotel there. They're real estate moguls in Pleasanton, developers, land developers. But I was thinking of Madden, and now he's gone. So it's, you know, if you're going to die, the holidays are just, this is when people are kind of contemplative. They're joyous, of course, but they're contemplative. And I'm just thinking all these warm thoughts about Madden. I even skipped. I'm not even into the Madden football game. I don't play video games. But I know for a lot of people, for a certain generation, that's how most people know them. The Madden video games. Teaching them what cover 2 is. He was a simple guy. He knew what communicated. And a funny guy. And the coach of my favorite Raider teams. I was a Raider fan for so long, living and dying with every George Blanda field goal, Stabler, Cliff Branch, Fred Biletnikoff. Oh, the great Raider teams. A far cry from what the Raiders have now. But I'll miss John Madden. FIMO, right? FIMO. Then there's another death, Harry Reid. If you're in, you know, if you look at politics, Harry Reid was sort of like the Democratic Mitch McConnell. And you were just thankful that he was on our side, right? Harry Reid was a throwback. I say throwback because he hung on. He was from Nevada, which I lived in for a while when I worked up at an ABC station in Reno. But Nevada, very conservative, pretty conservative state. The fact that they had Harry Reid, that was something. And the thing that makes you powerful in Washington when you are a senator is you have longevity, which means you have seniority, power, and you know how to work the levers. You know how to make the thing work and move. You know how to manipulate stuff, the machinery, so that things move forward. And you do that by working with your colleagues on both sides of the aisle. And when Harry Reid was at his most powerful, he had to work with Republicans. He had to bring people together. And I know it disappoints a lot of people who wanted him to be slightly more partisan than he was, but he was slightly more, he was the way he was to get the things done that he could. That's politics. That's politics of the past, unfortunately. Because politics of today is total gridlock, nothing gets done, everyone hates everyone else, it's a blood war, and that's why we have government where it is right now. Where the Democrats have a thin margin, like they have 50 votes, right? Then they got to go they got to have the vice president break the tie. There's no Republicans coming over. This is the difficulty of passing Build Back Better, right? But the Democrats want to use a certain manipulation of Congress called reconciliation, where you don't need all the votes that you would ordinarily. They get it, they get the budget through. That was the hope. But they need 50 votes, and if they don't have Manchin, they can't even do that. That's because we're not in Harry Reid's time anymore. We're not in a time when people work together. We're not in a time when things get done. We're in this odd period of American democracy where the longer this continues, it's not hyperbolic to say our democracy is threatened. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, our democracy is threatened every day that passes, where we just cannot bridge that gap and work together. We got to come up with the answers, though. And to see people like, just in recent weeks, Bob Dole's passing. Senator Bob Dole, Senator Harry Reid, they're passing. You realize that guys like that help make things happen. Bob Dole, Republican, helped pass the ADA. I don't want to make a joke about reaching across the aisle because, he had that bad hand. But he reached across the aisle. That was how you played politics, and that was what was courageous. We just don't have that anymore. And as these guys pass, I hope the people who are currently in office I hope they get just a little taste or a little twinge of nostalgia or a twinge of, hey, this is the way it used to be. Is the way we have it all that much better now? Of course not. We could do better. We need to do better. So I got Reid. I got John Madden out of the way. FIMO. Never forget FIMO. I want to talk about Christian Hall now, only because if you haven't heard about Christian Hall, you should. Christian Hall was a Chinese adoptee. His parents were a Filipino American, and his father was a mix, Black, Latino. They lived in Pennsylvania, up in the Poconos. And it was on December 30th that Christian was killed. December 30th, 2020. What happened was he was holding a realistic looking pellet gun. But they just released dash cam footage last month that confirmed close up what someone with a distant bystander video had already, appeared to show that Hall did not point the weapon at the troopers before they fired. This is contrary to what the Pennsylvania troopers claimed. Hall, fatally shot by Pennsylvania State Police on Route 33, the Route 33 overpass above Interstate 80. I think I've been through there. I know I've taken 80 all the way across. I know I must have passed it. So the police have said they have no, they're not culpable, they say. But now they've released dash cam footage last month that shows Hall held up this realistic looking pellet gun and he did not point it at police. Essentially, unarmed. Shot dead. So it's been a year now and people are gathering. Once that dash cam footage came out, now people are looking at this situation and they want to celebrate 1 year. Justice for Christian Hall. And it's this is the thing. The police claimed that Christian Hall was pointing that gun, but Christian Hall, his family has always claimed that he had his hands up in the air. So people are going to honor the 1 year anniversary of his death, calling for justice for Christian and all victims of police violence, not just in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, where he was killed December 30th, 2020. They're doing nationwide. So I think the best thing I can do is just say, visit ChristianJHallFoundation.org. Christian J. Hall, CHRIST, Christian, IAN, J, Hall, HALL, Foundation.org. All throughout Pennsylvania, New York City, 5 p.m. at Columbus Park, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Columbus Park and in Chinatown. They're going to be in Los Angeles at Pershing Square at 4 p.m. They're meeting in Abra, Philippines, because Christian Hall's adopted mother is Filipina. There's going to be a group in San Francisco, I believe it's Civic Center in the afternoon. but just check out ChristianJHallFoundation.org for details. The story's sad. Christian Hall had a mental health issue. Like many transracial adoptees, he had a lot of trauma stemming from his adoption. And some people say when he had his hands up, when he had that little gun, that pellet gun, wasn't pointing it at the police. Who knows what he was going to do? But when the police stopped him, why did they shoot him? Why did they shoot him down? And you got to think about this issue about, we talk about defunding the police. That's a poor choice of words, but it's become the word of choice in the rhetoric by those who say, oh, no, you can't do that. But really, it's a misstating of what people really want to see in terms of reform. They just want to see the police be retrained. They want to see the police do the thing that makes the police not agents of negativity, but positivity. Policemen shouldn't come into a scene, or members of the police, because they're women too. They shouldn't come into a scene and instantly things go from good to bad. The police are the good guys, right? Not the bad guys. So we don't want to defund them. We want to retrain them. Or we want to make sure that when people call the police, they get what they want. You know, they want the police to uphold the peace. I mean, this happened with Christian Hall, but, you know, we could say it happened with Angelo Quinto in Antioch. Similar sort of thing. Angelo Quinto had a psychological mental health issue. He was acting somewhat violent. His family called the police, thinking that the police would come and know what to do. They didn't know what to do. They treated Angelo Quinto, a 30-year-old Navy veteran, like a criminal. They put him face down, hands behind his back, knee to the back of his head. Hours later, Angelo Quinto was brought to the hospital where he died. That family is seeking justice. That's just two cases. But there's a pattern. Mental health issue. Police come with force. Police come thinking they got to defend themselves. They don't have to defend themselves. They need to be retrained. They need to know how to deal with these situations, because clearly they don't now. And then, isn't it coincidental? Or is this just the pattern again? 14-year-old Valentina or Ilana Peralta. The video comes out yesterday. I saw highlights of the video when I talked yesterday. I saw the full video afterwards, where you see the perp that the police were coming after. The perp had done some damage with a bike lock, had attacked some people, but wasn't armed. A bike lock is dangerous. A heavy bike lock is dangerous. But when the police came, the police were called to this North Hollywood Burlington Coat Factory store. They used their gun in a store where there were still people in public, still people out in this area where they used the gun. They opened fire, shot the perp. One of the bullets goes off into a dressing room, strikes 14-year-old Valentina, who was trying on a dress for a Christmas party. She dies in the arms of her mother. Now that didn't have to happen. That is collateral damage that doesn't have to happen in law enforcement. And it was good. At the press conference yesterday, you saw a South Asian lawyer representing the Orellana Peralta family. You have Benjamin Crump, who is sort of like heading up this real diverse legal team. And you have a Latina also representing the family. It was bilingual. It was in LA. It was a show of the community. Black, South Asian, Latina. The legal force representing Valentina, hoping that they will find justice for her. This happens only when you have the cops involved. I mean, I know people who know of my background, I talk about my cousin Stefan's death a lot. But what do you know? You got two poor people involved. One poor person shoots another. No one cares. It would have been better in terms of public policy if the perp was not a poor person, but just a policeman. That wasn't the case. Guy was just a retired security guard. That doesn't even count as a policeman. But he had a gun. He knew the law. Shot my cousin. Couldn't do anything about it. The law backed the shooter. In this case here, we have the police clearly involved. We have innocent people. Valentina. We've got Angelo Quinto. And we have Christian Hall. And let's hope they find justice. Christian Hall's vigil takes place tomorrow at, looks like the earliest is it's at 6 p.m. in Pennsylvania, but 5 p.m. in New York. It's happening in Chinatown and in Columbus Park, right there by Central Park. And then in LA, the Philippines. For more information, go to christianjhallfoundation.org for details. I know at least send them an email and go to Instagram and share the notice. Because Asian Americans as a community, people of color as a community, they are involved in this policing issue. And unlike what the New York Times said last week, we don't want to defund the police, but we want justice. And maybe it doesn't take defunding the police, but it takes retraining the police. That's what we need. That's what we want. So, God, all these they're sad cases. Christian Hall, Valentina, and the natural deaths. I believe they're natural deaths of Harry Reid, John Madden. They represent a passing of something, right? But it kind of fits the day. I mean, I'm in California where they just opened up the roads of 80. So if you want to go to Tahoe, the roads are open. You can ski. There's like 200 inches of snow in some places up there. This one ski resort was bragging about having 111 inches in the last couple of days. That's good for our water supply, which has been hurt. But all these just make for a kind of melancholy right now. And, because of the Omicron, we're sort of in a general melancholy mood, right? I mean, Washington Post, latest report, Fauci suggests skipping big New Year's parties as U.S. infections skyrocket. I mean, Omicron, literally washing over America. We got like 260,000 cases just yesterday, 256, 260,000. It's like record levels. And now Fauci's saying maybe we shouldn't be out there partying. The big to-dos. I don't know if the ball's going to be dropping in Times Square. I think it was, but now I'm not so sure. I'm a little concerned that the CDC has shortened that period of, how far or how long you had to incubate, cutting down from 10 to 5. They say that, most of your infectiousness is like in the first three days, most of it. And then it wanes, and then it gets down beyond on the 6th, 7th, and 8th day, or 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th day. It may be much lower, maybe a third or lower. So let's not quarantine for the entire 10 days, just the first 5. Well, I don't know. Do you think that's safe? I think leave it at 10 and people will cheat at 5. That's why, people say, screw it. I've been locked up for 5 days. I'm going to break out. I think that's smart. What's going to happen is you make it 5 and people are, after 2 days, are going to say, I'm going crazy. I got to bust out. They're still infectious. Other people get it. Thank you, CDC. But I just know that right now, I think I'm just going to be watching television. I'll celebrate on the West Coast the New Year's in Europe and just go to bed at 6, which isn't a bad time to go to bed if you got things to do. So, yeah, the whole thing with Omicron, and it is Omicron, that's the way the Greeks say it. So let's honor the Greeks. Flight cancellation delays continue as airlines grapple with fallout from Omicron. Another headline in the Post, the vaccine gap between black and white Americans narrowed. But now this is interesting because the New York Times reports that after universal adult vaccine eligibility happened, guess who did really wondrously well among, in terms of the race and ethnic categories? That's right. Congratulations, Asian Americans. I mean, you just, you killed it. COVID-19 deaths before and after the universal adult vaccine eligibility. Whites shot up from 8 to 15% for 45 to 64, but it went down 65 to 84 to 11%, and 85 plus down to 6% from 14. So that's positive. But look at Asians. Asians, 45 to 64, went from 21%, this is the deaths, down to 13. From 23%, 65 to 84, 23% down to 8%. All you retirees, Celebrate by taking that bus to Reno. And 85 plus. Look at the 85 plus. These are either Asian Americans in home care or who are being taken care of by, or they're in nursing care. It went from 17% deaths to 4%. So Asian Americans following the rules. When universal adult vaccine eligibility happened, I mean, you saw similar reductions in Black and Hispanic and even white communities, but nowhere near the Asians. So, hey, pat on the back. That's one bright spot. But I think if you look around, you look at the maps, you look at the numbers, oh my God. Omicron is spreading and we're breaking records. Like we're in the 260,000 cases a day. People are saying, I was reading the Texas Tribune, edited by Asian American, Sewell Chan, fellow AAJA member, editor-in-chief, by the way. The Texas Tribune was reporting that the positivity rate in Texas was like upwards of 21%. 21% in Texas. Keep in mind that positivity rates are considered okay if they're around the 5%, and even 5% is too much. That means it's spreading, the positivity rate. The spread is high in Texas, 21%. My God. So we got our work cut out for us, folks. Go to my ALDEF column and on aaldef.org/blog, because I talk about this. Fauci said that this was war. He meant it. And if you're not vaccinated and boosted, there's still time to get vaccinated and boosted, because you want your guns, those upper arms, not just for pumping iron. You got to get your guns and have them gunned up with the vaccine. You got to go out there and fight this war against the virus. Can't give up. And, we're coming to the end of the year where we're beginning to plan. What is 2020 going to be like? What is 2020 going to be like? I don't even know at this point. Do you plan for summer vacation? Do you plan for getting away? I don't know. Stay put. Fight the virus war. It is life and death. I mean, I said this yesterday, but I mean it. The best thing you can do is get a hold of, one of those antigen rapid tests, so you know where you are at any point. I know I was sneezing last night. Sometimes allergies, or you get a change in temperature between inside outside. But I was actually kind of scared, thinking, oh, am I symptomatic? I have these rapid tests. 15 minutes later, I'm fine. But you need the tests, and we don't seem to be getting many of them until next January. Go online, try to find some, because my line is, it shouldn't be the case where in an urban setting it's easier to find a parking space than it is to find a COVID rapid test. That's just not right. That should be the benchmark of availability. Let's see, what's faster? Parking space? Finding one? Or getting a rapid test? I think you need that rapid test. I mean, even if you're a diehard anti-vaxxer, you need a rapid test so you just know, hey, I'm full of myself today. I should stay away from people. Or if you're good, you say, hey, I can stop using the Clorox. I'm fine. We need information. And so far, the rapid test can provide that. Because, the other test, the lab test, those are harder to find and they're more expensive. Get a rapid test for like $8 to $12 a test. Get a box of 2 for anywhere from $17 to $25. But that's not really feasible for many people who are working hourly wage jobs, and they need to know, should I go to work today? Is it safe to go to work today? My God. Well, the best thing I can tell you, if you can't find it, go online. The regular suspects. I think there were some available yesterday when I did the show. They'll get them to the mail to you as soon as they can. It's a lot easier than driving around from Walgreens to CVS to Walgreens to CVS to Walgreens to CVS and finding out they have no rapid tests. So we'll wrap it up there. Today is Wednesday. I was going to drop Emil Muck's Takeout, the podcast. I might hold it out another day. I will drop an interview I did with a friend of mine, Ted Shatsky. He's a philosopher who, some good things happened during the pandemic. I hadn't talked to Ted in, 20 years, 30 years. I thought I needed a TED Talk. And so I called him up out of the blue. He's a philosopher, a philosophy professor at the University of Kentucky. We talk about COVID. We talk about how to look at, or how a philosopher looks at the crisis and other things. I'm going to put it on my amok.com blog and also on Facebook. So check it out there. All right. Emil Guillermo here. Hey, listen, if you've reached this far, oh, you lucky dog. You're lucky. You're this far in. Congratulations. Pat yourself on the back. Yeah. You belong. You're in the right place. Yeah. You belong here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And just as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Till next time. Emil Guillermo. Mahal